What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Beginner Bike Giveaway Series. Today we're working on everybody's favorite little popper and dank nooner poppin' motorcycle, the KTM Duke 390. If you guys don't know this, our giveaway Duke 390, giving this away along with an XSR 700 and a Street Triple R. And today we're doing a bit of a tail tidy on it. Yes, I know, another 25-minute long tail tidy video, but I promise you we're gonna make it fun. Probably gonna get this bike out on the road, just have fun with it and goof around. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Alrighty guys, before we get into the tail tidy today, just wanted to remind you that we are still running the 2x entries and 10% off on merch. So if you go on to YammieNoobMerch.com, pick out a shirt, pick out a hat, whatever you want, spend 28 bucks, you will then get 56 entries. Is my math correct there?
Yes.
Yes, 56 entries and 10% off your order. So go and check that out, get entered to win this bike. Let's check out the tail tidy.
All right, so today we are taking a look at our EvoTech tail tidy, and we went with this system because it's a different example of what a tail tidy is. If you think about what we put on the XSR, it's an all-inclusive one-piece part, right? It's got the turn signals, it's got your rear brake light, it's got your running light, it's got everything baked into it. Whereas this EvoTech system here, it's gonna take this whole assembly off here, retain all of the lights that are already in it along with our standard brake light here, but we're going to tuck all of the license plate stuff up under the tail, which it'll look a little bit cleaner. All of this stuff is out here for street legal regulation from the factory. It doesn't look all that great, but it actually does serve a purpose, right? So on bigger fenders here, what they actually do is they'll allow you to keep all of the road grime under the bike as opposed to on your back, on your helmet, on all your gear, which actually is kind of nice. So when picking these out, I actually went with a slightly longer tail tidy than I might normally otherwise do, because I've actually come to really enjoy not having to wash my gear after the rain. So, you know, it might not be as clean, but it's gonna work very well.
I have to sneeze. I feel it. I was holding it in so I didn't sneeze. An important thing to remember too is this tail tidy is gonna allow some of you guys who live in more strict countries to definitely pass whatever inspections and that kind of stuff. I know that a lot of you international guys saw our XSR tail tidy and said, there's no way that would pass inspection where I live. And you're probably right. If you live in a much more strict country, it probably wouldn't pass. But here in America, especially Texas, pretty chill. Yeah. It's like, do you have a mirror? Does it run? Cool. Go have fun, which I don't know how I feel about that, but it is what it is. So this one will definitely pass any type of inspection wherever you live. And it's a pretty nice system. It's all aluminum, all really nicely buttoned up. We definitely like the EvoTech stuff. Bought it over from motivationusa.com. Thanks again to Nate over there. And yeah, let's get this thing installed.
Let's do it.
Alrighty. Let us begin. First things first. Seat off. I don't think I've ever taken the seat off on this bike.
Yeah, no.
Got a little tool bag in there. What comes in it?
It's actually kind of neat. Let's find out. It's actually never been opened before.
Unopened tool bag.
Well, it's not going to be unopened for much longer.
No time like the present.
Wrench, 22 mil.
You're going point by point. I like this. Ooh,
wrenches, 8 and 14. Pin spanner handle.
For the preload, is that in there?
Screwdriver, Allen key. There it is. There's your pin spanner.
Yep.
Big old Allen key right there. 10 mil.
That's one of the nicest toolkits I've seen, honestly. Got a lot of stuff in there. It'd be funny to try to do all this with just the tools that they gave us here.
Look at all that good stuff, guys.
I bet you
we actually probably could do this with that.
I bet you with those tools in your Leatherman, we can do this whole thing.
Do you want to try and do that?
Let's try to do that.
All right, let's do that.
That's a fun challenge. That'll be the thing of the video. It's like tail tidy with
just the toolkit.
Just the toolkit. Yeah. All right. Okay. Cool. We got a situation going now. Now this is fun. All right. We got to undo these right in here.
Now you have plenty of experience with this platform.
I do.
You've done it on 2 bikes.
I've done it on 2 bikes, and then I've got the track prepped RC right now. So pretty familiar with how to wrench on the little baby KTMs. They're like, I used to think these guys were done before. Now I really think they're really stupid. Dude, we're gonna do this. I feel it in my soul. We got this. I'm gonna open up a mechanic shop where all I do is tail tidies.
We'll be the single most experienced tail tidy mechanics in America.
So guys, this serves as an important lesson. If you're ever broken down on the side of the road and you get a tail tidy shipped directly to you, you can swap it out right there on the road.
That right there is everything that we need to save and put into the new one.
A thought just occurred to me. How are you gonna make your innuendos if we're advertiser friendly now?
Yeah, I know.
What a shame, that was short-lived.
Oh well. Stop moving it around, I'm trying to chase it around. Can give people nausea. That looks good.
I'm gonna go up like that. Have we met our match? In the form of these tiny bolts. What about your Leatherman? Is there anything we could use?
No, unless we want to get clever and start pinching.
I don't want to pinch.
Well, we may have to break character for just the one.
Now hold on a second. Is there nothing else in that toolkit?
Well, in the interest of getting it right, let's...
Yeah.
And you know what? We can just throw it in the toolkit. All right, guys, so what happened down there, we cut away because it's kind of a fiddly little process. We basically have half of this put together. It's actually kind of cool. These two arms clamp together over all the wires, and you can see they just run up this little channel here, which is nice because that means they're not gonna be hanging out the back of the bike. Now what we need to do is we need to put a couple of studs in here and then bolt it all down and then get the actual license plate light on there because it's got these little pegs, but otherwise it's just gonna be floppy. So let's do that now.
Okay, got you.
So that's it all put together now. We gotta put 2 screws right here and then bolt it up to the tail. Dude, you know what? Aside from one bolt, we've done this whole thing
with just the tools
with
in the
just
kit.
the tools in the tail of this bike.
Yeah, there was the one zip tie you cut using the Leatherman, and then that one 3mm, those 2 3mm bolts that we didn't have.
But everything else, and I feel like a 3 is such a unique size that we can almost make the case that it doesn't even count.
Yeah.
Let go, goddammit.
What are you trying to do over there?
I'm trying to screw in this last bolt.
Oh.
And it keeps getting stuck on the tail light.
Oh. Cool. So, light is on. Obviously brake light works because we didn't mess with that. And then right turn signal flashing.
Yep.
Left turn signal going.
Yep.
The great thing about these as well is because we didn't switch to LEDs, we're not getting hyper flash. So
Yep.
if you do worry about that, you know, it just is the nice stock setup. So.
And
cool.
look at how, like, it doesn't even come out from underneath. Let me get this in focus here. Focus, there we go. It's basically right on the line with the tail light. So, you know, it's like the perfect size.
This is my ideal kind of street tail tidy setup, yeah. I like this a lot. This is great.
So we were saying earlier that this is basically just a physically smaller version of this. It's exactly the same structure, but it's just infinitely smaller. It looks great. I love it.
Let's button this all up and then let's go out for a ride. You know, one point I wanted to make, as someone pointed out on Discord, we have the same jacket.
Yep.
They were like, did you do that on purpose? It's very cute. I'm like, well, I don't think so, but can think whatever you'd like. Alrighty, guys, we're out here today on Fitzhugh Road in Austin, Texas. Cruising around with the giveaway XSR and the giveaway KTM. I'm going to chat about why we're modding one extensively, I guess somewhat extensively, and just kind of like what we're trying to do with both of these bikes in general.
I'd like to point out before we dive that, you said we're out here in Austin, Texas, all Texas-y.
I did that on purpose. Out here on the good old hills of Austin, Texas. Yeah, you can't ask for better weather than this. This footage is gonna come out amazing. Look at this, look at this.
Yeah, not a cloud in the sky. What a freaking gorgeous day.
Like a brisk 70 degrees, not hot, not cold. I'm wearing a textile, got all the flowers in bloom. All right, so you wanted to chat about modding up the XSR versus the KTM. And I think that sometimes people view modifications as you know, something that the bike needs to be fixed versus something you want to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit of both sometimes. I feel like when I mod my bikes, it's stuff that I want done on it versus something I have to do on it, right? And sometimes they can coincide, right? Like whenever my race bike went down. So I was thinking, you know, since the exhaust got smushed on there and the aero that I really quite liked, you know, might as well swap in a nice little competition work. So kind of killed two birds with one stone. What's your thought on that, Spite?
Well, so exhaust is an interesting one, right? I mean, a lot of people are like, well, it has to have an exhaust so you can hear the bike. And yeah, that's true, but
also loud pipes save lives, bro.
Yeah, I know, right? But is it really a taste thing or is it a have-to-have thing? And I always think that exhaust is a taste part, and that's why, you know, we had the baffle out on the street triple and we're like, nah, we got to put the baffle back in.
Yep.
Because it was just too loud for the taste, and you know, everybody was like, oh, it sounds great with the baffle out. It really doesn't. You know.
Yeah, no. For a more mature kind of, I'd say, sophisticated rider, you really don't want to keep that baffle in. It's just really obnoxious.
In that sense, exhaust doesn't really solve a problem, but everybody does it. And I think that's just because you're feeling some peer pressure. But, you know, the tail tidy, for me anyway, I think that's a necessity, right? Because it completely changes the look of the motorcycle. With one part, you can completely change the look and feel of the, well, maybe not the feel, but the look of the bike.
The emotional feel, perhaps.
Yeah. Like the Duke has a slightly more upmarket look now that it doesn't have that gigantic stick hanging off the back, you know?
I will say that XSR, once we get rid of those front turn indicators as well, you know, coupled with the tail tidy we've done on it, I mean, it really did mod the look of the bike. Like, it looks totally different now.
And I think there's something to be said because you could get a less drastic tail tidy, you know, for the XSR, one that preserves that silver piece off of the back of the bike. And just tucks the license plate up next to that silver piece. But, you know, we decided we wanted to take this bike in a very kind of bratty, you know, almost dirt tracker feel. And as a result, we decided, well, let's chop the whole thing off. Whereas with the Duke, there really isn't a lot of direction to take that motorcycle, right?
Yeah, other than a couple of hand guards, maybe an exhaust, you know, it's definitely not a bike or a platform that lends itself to kind of do what you want to do with it in that sense. It's not a super versatile motorcycle.
Unfortunately, I think that's kind of a trend in a lot of the beginner motorcycles.
Aside they're getting more specialized, yeah.
Yeah, especially, unless you're talking about like the SV650, which that has a very deep aftermarket. God, man alive, this bike just, it feels so good. I guess in this sense, I do think an exhaust is absolutely imperative on this motorcycle.
I think because of that engine and how corked up it is from the factory and the sound it can produce, if you own an MT-07 platform bike and you don't have an exhaust on it, you're doing it wrong. You have to put an exhaust on that bike. You have to.
Yeah. There's one guy in our Discord, I think it's Josh from VA, who's still rocking the stock pipes. Bro, what the hell's wrong with you, man?
Yeah, he posted up, he was like, I feel personally attacked. I was like, you should. You gotta put a pipe on it. You're missing out on so much of that bike.
Uh-huh.
Whereas other bikes, like the Duke is fun to have the exhaust on it, but it hasn't massively transformed my experience of it.
No, it's a little bit more brappy, you know, it sounds a little bit more like a supermoto, but
yeah,
it still just is the Duke, you know?
It is, yeah. Take that right. Oh, you missed it.
Yep, I'm gonna just bang a Yui.
Okay, I'll follow you.
Ooh.
Scrambling around with my Duke. It doesn't even feel weird doing that on this bike. You're just like, oh yeah, of course.
I think that's down to the fact that KTM has so much dirt heritage that even when they make a street bike, it kind of feels a little, you know, dual sport-y, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the KTM 790 Adventure, you just look at the kind of the front forks and the steering head and the triple tree and all that stuff on it. I mean, it looks like it's from like a dirt bike, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with admitting that, you know, it's like, oh, I'm doing this mod, you know, for my vanity. Like, I like the way this looks, or I want this, like, you know, like we always talk about, motorcycles are very emotional. There's no need to, you know, pretend like everything we do is super functional.
Like, a good example of that is one of the mods that I want to still do to the Duke is put handguards on it.
Yeah,
you know?
I'd love to do that.
It serves no practical purpose on that motorcycle, you know, because we're not going to be bashing our way through bushes or doing anything like that, but it's going to look like a supermoto. It's going to feel more supermoto-y. And that is just entirely a vanity piece, 100%, and I'm completely willing to accept that. And I do think it's a little bit of a shame that the Duke doesn't have more of an aftermarket, but I think that's because it's a relatively new motorcycle.
Yep.
One thing I don't know if it was the ABS that I was feeling kicking in, or if the forks have enough dive that I was dragging the pipe under the bike.
On what bike?
On this bike. When I was
on that bike?
Yeah, when I was about to pass the turn.
Yeah. I don't think you maybe it's touching up against something or something like that, but I also don't think you hit the brakes hard enough to get that much dive out of it, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
That pipe is, you know, a little dangerously low, though. I will say, like, I hit a bump the other day on it. I kind of popped it a little bit.
Clunk.
I always feel that on my sled if I take if I go downhill a little too gnarly, and then if I take it off a little bit of a drop on a trail and I just hear the front fork bottom out, I'm like, oof. I'm like, no, don't touch, oh God.
Speaking of that Ducati, I mean, you've got some parts on there that you're not exactly happy with, but you were looking at the ones that are on my DRZ, which are bargain basement Amazon parts. You're like, I kind of want to put those on my bike, you know?
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line between a good part and a bad one?
I don't know. You know, I think when looking at a kind of high quality component versus a low quality component, the first things that come to mind that are, you know, not really working for me on the low quality ones are usually the very small, precise mechanical components on them. So if you look at like you know, like a lever or something, the small little pivots and stuff like that, usually on like cheaper parts look bad, or they're not going to wear out very nicely. The finishes also suck. But at the end of the day, you know, CNC aluminum to CNC, like it's the same thing. It's like some of them have like fold away components or nicer things, but you know, some guys just want to have the nice part on their bike, you know?
Right.
And I think it matches, you know, if you have like a Ducati or an Aprilia or something like that, you want the nice stuff because you got the nice bike. I think it would look weird to have a Dan Moto pipe on an Aprilia RSV4.
Yes.
It's just like, well, hold on. So you had money to buy an RSV4, but then you put a Dan Moto pipe on it? That doesn't add up, you know?
Yeah, because I spent all my money on the RSV4. What do you think I had? I made of money here? You know, I also think that if we got too clever with trying to modify that bike, it would actually start detracting from the motorcycle.
Totally. There's that line too, where it's like, how much do you start modding until all of a sudden you have a Craigslist crap bike on your hands, you know?
Yes.
Like, at some point, you mod a bike too much, and it becomes, like, your own weird personal object as opposed to, like, a functioning motorcycle.
Which is, it's interesting because that line is completely different for so many different motorcycles, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we can put, I can think of a bunch of parts that you put on this bike here, and no matter what you do, you still look at it and you're like, that's an XSR.
Yeah.
Whereas if you start taking a bunch of things off of that Duke, you start being like, well, what was it? It's hard to identify.
Yeah. I'm reminded of, so Jake the Garden Snake's doing an Adventure FZ07 build, which I think is badass. And he's going to, like, he's already done so much to it. He's got, like, the, you know, these extended fork caps, and he's put on this huge cage and the skid plate and, like, all this stuff. And, you know, in doing that, and I'm sure he doesn't care because he's probably going to keep that bike forever, but at the same time, if you were to ever try to get rid of that bike, it would be so difficult, you know, because it's such a one-off thing.
Yeah, you start, you know, at a certain point, removing parts doesn't just, you know, hurt the value, it really hurts, like it just tanks it.
Yeah,
you know?
like I think once you busted out like the saw and you're chopping off parts of the frame and doing major modifications like that, that's when you're like, all right, I'm never selling this thing and I'm keeping it because no one's ever gonna buy it.
Exactly.
But then it ends up on Craigslist, people are like, one of a kind. Check it out.
$13,000 Hayabusa.
Yeah. Ooh, that looks like fun.
Scrambly boy things.
Yeah, so selfishly I'm doing a little bit of research over here too, trying to find some cool new routes. Yeah, I want to get over there. You see that to the left?
Yeah.
Because that looks cool over there. I don't know if that's private land or whatever, but there was a road I saw that led up there. You see those houses on that ridge?
Yeah. Let's pull up the map, see if we can't get there from here. I need to just like enter my face within my phone, just in my helmet.
Yeah, me too. No kidding.
All right. Where are we? That definitely looks like scrambly boy things up there.
I just wanted to go. I wanted to tackle it with the Duke right now. But I could do it.
Speaking of which,
I'm feeling zesty. I'm gonna give it a go.
you are?
Yeah, I'm gonna try it out.
All right. Let's
I'm gonna see what's
circle
going
back
on with
around.
it. This feels exceedingly dumb. This is really low key though. I don't see any big bumps or anything. It looks like a bunch of trucks go through here anyways. Oh, we got a guy working. Let's get out of here. It was fun while it lasted.
The XSR was completely okay with that, by the way.
Which is crazy because that exhaust gives it like 2 inches of ground clearance.
Man, look at all that.
That's nice, huh? And we've also proven that these two machines are clearly dirt capable.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing a little scrambly boy adventure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know this video is about the tail tidy kind of turned into something else, but it does look nice and stumpy. Looks good.
Yeah, yeah. And, I mean, it wasn't that expensive.
Yeah, and I think you can tell, like, you know, the XSRs is like that super low, you know, profile, super minimal tail tidy, which may or may not pass inspection where you live. But then this is like your standard, pretty normal tail tidy that, you know, most people would do, I think.
Yeah, and it's nice that it retained all the stock stuff because it means you don't have to buy a whole bunch of other crap to go with it.
Yeah.
So, it definitely makes the Duke look more upmarket, I think. I think that long arm sticking off the back really kind of hampered its feel a little.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it really kind of fits the look of the bike now. just a couple more mods on these 2 bikes, and then we'll be giving them away. So if you guys don't know by now, go to YammieNoobMerch.com, use the code TRIPLE2020, which I think I forgot to say in the first part. Use that code, get double entries, 10% off. Go to YammieNoob.co as well if you want to get entered and get 10x on your dollar and get access to Discord server, all kinds of cool stuff. It's why we can do cool stuff like this and give away motorcycles, and it's why Spy does a job.
Yeah.
Because I know that he'd probably do it for free, but he is paid to do this, which is pretty cool.
I know.
Yeah. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. See you later.